Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Easy Does It, a podcast created specifically for the amazing members of the MJ team. Rob and I are back with you again, excited for another great episode. As usual, we will have some do's news for you, and then we will jump into our topic. But to get us started, I'm sure Rob has a great Would You Rather for me today.
Okay, I do have a runner-up. I already said it before, but just so the listeners know, I had a good one. It was, would you rather face your greatest fear or spend the night in a landfill? That one was very random, but I have one that's a little bit more thoughtful. And
by the way, I couldn't spend a night in a landfill, just so we're clear. This is another place. Add it to the list.
That I don't feel like that would be half bad though, because you could like grab a mattress or
it's gonna smell horribly.
Probably. But what's your worst fear?
This goes back to previous weeks.
That's right.
Sharks, dark in the woods, alone in the ocean. Oh yeah, never mind.
Landfill it is. See,
yeah.
I just felt like that one just didn't have enough umph to it.
Yeah.
So the other one is, would you rather know the secrets of space or the secrets of the ocean?
Oh. Ooh.
Because I feel like this one's really interesting in the fact that we live on the planet, but we don't know everything about the depths of the ocean, like the deep stuff.
Yeah.
What is it? I always call it the Marinara Trench, Mariana Trench. I think that's what it's called.
I have no idea.
We've been down there, but you can't study as much because it's so dark, so cold, so much pressure.
Yeah.
And then space, I mean, we've only been up there. I mean, we'll launch stuff up there, but
right.
We know a little bit, but a lot of it's through a telescope.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say space. I'm fascinated by the thought that there's another planet like Earth out there. Just like somebody is sitting on another planet doing maybe not exactly what you and I are doing right now, but what if they are?
That would be interesting.
Whoa.
What if there was a parallel universe? We can get into that trash too. I thought it was really crazy to think, maybe you've heard this, but in space, the light that we see from stars takes so long to get here that it's possibly burnt out already.
Yes.
But we're just seeing the last little bits of light. Isn't that pretty wild?
That's crazy.
I know. That's
That's
pretty
how
wild.
far away these things are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to say space because what's going to be down at the bottom of the ocean? I mean, more creepy
Shrimp.
more creepy animals. I mean, you're not about to find people. It's not about to be an Ariel King Triton situation down there.
Probably not.
Right, because it's too cold. It's too dark. They wouldn't live down there anyway. If there were people living under the ocean, which just sounds crazy, we would already know that, I think.
You hadn't seen Aquaman? Shoot.
Oh, I've seen Aquaman.
Okay. We're getting off the beaten path here. So I think the ocean piece would be so cool. Maybe I'm just biased. I love number one being in water. My wife always laughs at me because we go to the beach and I just want to swim the whole time. Like I'll go out there unless I'm like just trying to chill on the beach. I'll be out in the water swimming, hitting the waves, surfing the waves. I could do that for hours.
No.
Now, I am a little bit more older now to the point where I'm more cautious of sharks and whatnot because they out there. And have you seen all the shark attacks that have been happening over the summer and everything like that? Like there was a big spike and they're trying to figure it out. I said, no, ma'am, you're going to be up to your kneecaps. That's it. But aside from getting a shark attack, the ocean is so cool. I was actually sitting in a meeting yesterday and like the screensaver, Eddie had his computer up and then he screencasted it. So it was an AirPlay deal. And it was like videos, like the little screensaver was the video of like dolphins swimming in the water. And it was like under the water. So like the camera was following them along with it. And I was like, that just looks so peaceful. But it'd be really cool to just figure out what's actually on the planet that we just don't know.
Yeah.
That's been there the whole time, but we just haven't taken the time to go see. I think we'd see some pretty interesting stuff. You wouldn't even have to go to space to figure that out.
So you're saying ocean?
100%.
Oh. Yeah. I just feel like it's going to be more of the same.
What do you mean?
It's going to be more giant squids. It's going to be more of these crazy creatures.
Yeah.
And I just am not interested in knowing what else lives down there in the depths. Unless it come up to the surface, you can go on live your best life down there.
What if you find something out in space?
Okay, well, that's equally scary.
Yeah.
But what if you found, you're not going to find another civilization under the ocean, but you could find another Earth.
What if there was? This is the dilemma. It could be there.
I just don't think it is, but.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree.
So I'm going with space. Now, do I want to have any part in that exploration? Absolutely not.
I want to sit on my couch in my Snuggie and watch rom-coms.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Emily in Paris.
I saw a video, actually, I think it was last night, how we understand how space works. Like, when you see all the videos or pictures of the solar system, you have the sun, and then you have all the planets, and they're just orbiting it, and you just think the sun is sitting still. But actually, the sun is moving around the Milky Way, and we're following the sun, so it's like a spiral pattern, and it's moving, and we're chasing the sun as it's going around. I was like, I didn't ever think about that. It looked really cool, but then it also blew my mind that we're following it, and it's going around the Milky Way.
The whole thing is just it's so large in scale that it's really difficult to just even comprehend.
Yep. Fun fact: stars, some stars can be the size of a city, and some can be 1,500 times larger than the sun. By the way, thank you, Google.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. I just I'm always blown away when you have like these little gee whiz moments that you see that seems so common knowledge to some people. You see it on like a documentary, or you hear it on a podcast, and it's like, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just find that there's so many fascinating things here on Earth that we just have never taken the time to find out.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff happens because of, it's just straight up happenstance, mistake, how you find things or create things out of mistakes, and it's like, this is amazing. There's a lot of really cool stuff that is here that we just probably right underneath our nose.
Yep. One amazing planet. But what if there's another one out there?
Okay.
What if there's another Rob Johnson?
We probably have equally cool haircuts. Both bald. What did Corey say? God made me this way. What did he say?
Yep. This is how God wanted him to be.
Yeah.
It's way too much work.
Corey, our previous co-host, equally bald. He's got his dome
it's
piece.
Tight.
It is like he keeps that thing clean all the time, clean cut.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with that. I had to shave mine today. I can only make it like 3 days before I get into tennis ball mode. I gotta cut it.
Yeah, I'm impressed with y'all's dedication.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to jump into the Deuce News. As you guys know, we have been making our way through the back of Mr. Jenkins Told Me. We are on number 7 of the why behind Morris-Jenkins. And number 7 is conflict occurs at intersections. And this one is all about conflict. First, it talks about how we have the misconception that conflict is bad. And in truth, conflict, which we've talked about on here, is neither good nor bad. How it's managed or how we handle it determines if it's good or bad. This is one of the things, I've never been a huge fan of conflict. Surprise, surprise to no one listening. Everyone listening. And
how many people actually like conflict?
Yeah. I mean, nobody.
Yeah.
Very few.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't like it. And so when I came here, I did reading this and understanding a little bit more about conflict did help me recognize something I'd never thought about before. It's just like, it's just going to be. Whether I like it or I don't like it, it's going to be there. It's going to happen. Anytime you bring people together, because people come from different backgrounds, they have different beliefs, they have different wants, needs, all of those things, there's going to be conflict. So whether I like it or don't like it is kind of sort of irrelevant because it's always going to be there. It's always going to need to be navigated. So I think sometimes when you don't like conflict, like me, what you recognize when you have that realization is that avoiding it is not an option. So I've got to skill up in the area of conflict because I'm going to have to deal with it
I
one
like
way or
that.
the other.
Skill up. I like it.
Yeah. And if you think about that too, which we talk about this in the conflict class and in the crucial conversations class that I do here for the field and office people, is most of us are not taught how to manage conflict. We don't have any skills. We typically learn, which I think we talked about this in our conflict episode, we typically learn how to navigate conflict just by how it's been modeled for us in our lives, particularly from our parents or those people that we grew up with. And so we just like do what they do. And we don't have any skills, and we're not taught those skills. So it is important that you recognize that and that you do something to skill up for conflict.
Yeah, because conflict is always going to be there, whether it be at work, at home, your daily interactions. And if you don't know how to manage that, then how far are you actually going to go? It's super important at work because you are always at intersections with other people within the business. I mean, every department hands off to another department, and those problems can get passed. And ultimately, the unfortunate part is the customer sometimes gets caught in the middle.
Yeah.
And even if they're not, it's like you're going to have to go back and talk to that person again at some point. Why don't you learn how to navigate that, or, as you said, skill up?
Yeah, he talks about in here, most conflict occurs at intersections. What are those intersections in a business? Well, it's simple. Most conflict occurs at the intersections between departments. Everyone here has experienced that.
Oh, yeah.
Probably to some capacity. It's where one department hands off work to another department. Here's an example. A salesperson sells a new air conditioner and furnace to a customer and sends the paperwork to the install department to be installed. The install team loads up the equipment, drives to the customer's home, installs the equipment, cleans the job site, and gets ready to leave, and the customer says, "But where's my new smart thermostat?" The installer goes over the paperwork. It doesn't mention it anywhere. They have to drive back to the shop, pick up the thermostat, go back to the customer's house, and install it. In total, an extra 2 hours added to the installer's workday. There's going to be a conflict.
100%.
So, and that's just one example, but my gosh, that happens all the time where, and we have so many departments here that are working together to make it easy for our customers. There's lots of intersections. And so I think that it's important for us to recognize there's going to be conflict in those times, but how we manage it, how we navigate it, it can either benefit the relationship, the company, or it can be to the detriment of the relationship and of the company.
Yeah, and I think what you just said, it benefits not just the other people and also not just yourself, right? It benefits both. And so if you want to continue to skill up, be more successful, whether it be in business or in your relationships, you've got to learn the skills on how to navigate that. And I do know that, everybody handles that conflict differently. Like some people get really heated, other people can shut down. Sometimes you want to just flee, like you want to go the other way. But learning to be able to sit in that and use the right language, have the right mindset behind all that stuff. I always get When Goliaths Clash and dang it, what's the other one? It just slipped my mind. When Goliaths Clash.
Crucial Conversations?
Thank you. It was there.
No.
But yeah, I can't remember which one said it, but it's like, what do I want for the relationship? Like, you got to walk in saying, like, I want to be able to have a good relationship with this person on the other side of this conversation. And sometimes just walking in, like, I don't exactly know what to say in this. I'm just going to share with you my thoughts. I do want to have a good conversation, and I care about you a lot. Let's navigate this together. And putting that stuff up front, lets the other person know that this is going to be a hard conversation, or what Brene Brown would say is, hey, this is going to be a rumble. Having that common language makes it easier. And I think when the other person sees you're genuinely trying to manage it and you're trying to do it in the best way possible, then, there's grace that can be given in that case.
Yeah. A lot of it, I think, goes back to what we talked about in our last episode about communication. Like, how do I want to show up for this conversation? I want to show up for a conflict conversation as a problem solver. I want to know, how do you see it from your end? How do I see it from my end? And can we problem solve together? One of the things he also talks about in the book is, conflict is a really great opportunity for new ideas and creativity and innovation, because if an issue exists, then let's bring both our brains together and figure out how to navigate the issue. It could be something completely different that we've never thought of.
Yeah.
And so when we hide from conflict or we don't engage in it and we just avoid it, then we're also missing opportunities to bring new ideas to the table.
For sure.
Which I think is super important for your own growth, but also the growth of the business as well.
100%. Yeah, conflict happens at the intersections, and that's one piece. If you know that, then I feel like that's half the battle of knowing, oh, this could be a big problem.
Yep. All right, so now y'all know when you have conflict at an intersection, because it's going to happen. We work in a business full of people, full of intersections. Decide before you have that conversation, because you got to have the conversation. How do you want to show up in order to make that conflict productive, to benefit you and to benefit the company?
Yeah. And if you're currently not doing that, it's time to change.
It's time to skill up.
Yep. Skill up.
Yep.
So skilling up means you got to change some things, maybe in what you're currently doing. And that is what our topic is today, is on change.
Oof. Okay. So how do I feel about change? Well, all I should have to say for the people here that are listening is I'm a 99S. And so that should tell everybody exactly how I feel about change, which is red lights. I've gotten better. I've gotten better as I've gotten older, because I think maybe then some experience teaches you that you're going to come out on the other side. But it's still difficult for me. I always need a little bit longer than maybe others to acclimate to change.
Yeah. Do you feel like there was a turning point for you? Because, I mean, obviously in this, even in the podcast alone, if you go from episode 1 to where we are right now, you've made changes along the way. Mm-hmm. And even changes having a little bit of that uncertainty that's there. Do you feel like that there was a turning point for you at some point in your life that has made you more open to dealing with change?
I don't know if there's an exact turning point. I think, I do think recently, over the past couple of years, I have recognized, I think one of the things that I put down to talk about today is this idea of a circle of control. And so one of the things I've recognized really, particularly over the past couple of years, is that I can't control everything. Mm-hmm. And so I need to let go of the things that I can't control. And I need to trust myself that whatever change happens, I can navigate through that. I can figure out how to make it to the other side. And I think the more times you do that, the easier maybe it becomes to navigate the change, because I'm proving to myself, I have evidence now. I have data to suggest that I can do this. This change was hard. Like, let's just say me leaving education to come here. That was a huge change. I was scared to death because that's all I had ever done. I went to school to be a teacher. I was a teacher. I worked in the school system for 15 years. I didn't even know what else I could do.
Child, you know Sean wasn't going to lead you down the wrong path.
That's true. I did trust her too.
Yeah.
But, that was a huge change. And so, but I trusted myself to make the right decision. I knew that something had to change because I could not continue on with the way things were. And so now I have some data at my disposal to say, look at what you did. You made a difficult choice. You made a difficult change that impacted your life in a big way.
Yeah.
And I'm still standing. I'm doing what I enjoy doing, and it was the right move for me. And not all change or decisions that we make to change will be the right move. Some of them will turn out not to be the right thing. But I think the more times you do it and you prove to yourself, this was hard and I didn't love all aspects of it, but look at me now. I'm still standing. I navigated it. It wasn't always easy, but I made it. And so now when things like that come along, which I haven't made any huge life changes like that in a while. I've almost been here for 7 years. Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, I can't believe that.
That's crazy.
Huh.
In February, it'll be 7 years. That's crazy. Anyway, time flies when you're having fun. So I haven't done any of those big types of changes, but I think when you can do things like that, then you just build the self-belief that you can navigate it.
Meredith, do you feel like there's something that you still that you find yourself keep coming back to, that you're trying to get back in control, and then you realize, I need to let go of this. Like you keep coming back. Is there something like that in your life that you feel like is happening?
My kids.
Yeah.
So any of you who have teenagers probably have experienced this. And I have had to do a lot of work and listening and reading about how we navigate from children to teenagers. So if you think about it, for all of your child's life up until they're about, 12, 13, 14, you are making every decision for them. You're controlling everything about their lives. You control who they play with. You control what they eat. You control what they watch. You control what they listen to. You because you're guiding them. They can't make those decisions on their own up until that point. And then something changes. And you find yourself with a 13, 14-year-old that is desperate for some autonomy and some sense of control over their own lives. And our kids don't think that way up until they hit adolescence and they start changing. They start becoming their own person. They're always their own person, but they're this person that you're shaping so much up until they hit their adolescent years. And then all of a sudden you have this person who has their own ideas and their own thoughts and they speak them. And you're like, what is happening? And so I listened to a lot of podcasts, I read books, and what I recognized from reading those things, and I'm not saying that this is how every parent decides to raise their kids. This is what I have learned about myself. It's almost like your parenting, it has to shift. At some point, it has to shift because the fact of the matter is that Mila's 14. She'll be 15 in March. In just a few years, she will be an adult. And I will not be able to control what she watches, what she eats, who the friends she chooses. I can't control all those things when she's an adult. So if I continue to try to control the things now, I am not empowering her to be able to do that herself when it's time.
Yeah. And
that has been a difficult transition for me to let go of that. To say to her, you know what? You can listen to whatever music you want to listen to, as long as it's not blasting through the house with anything inappropriate. If you're listening to your AirPods, and whatever you listen to is whatever you listen to, I don't have to listen to it. At some point, you can't listen to it in front of your sister because she's not at a place to be able to make those decisions yet. You can watch what you want to on TV, short of anything real nasty. I won't say the word on here. I don't even know if that's allowed. But so she's watched Grey's Anatomy. I mean, do I feel like maybe I would have let her watch Grey's Anatomy if I had control over that? Probably not. But at the end of the day, I mean, in just a few years, she's going to be choosing those things for herself anyway. So if she were choosing the wrong things, I'm not saying that I wouldn't step in.
Right.
I mean, that's still my responsibility as her parent.
Yeah.
If she was listening to certain types of music and watching certain types of things that were causing her to behave differently or to do things, I mean, no ma'am. I mean, we still...
Well, you said it earlier. It's not that you're parenting less. It's just that your parenting shifts.
Right.
So you're hoping that you gave each one of your kids the decision-making skills and the that moral compass of what they should choose and what they should walk away from. So now it's just like, what does Yoda say? We are what they grow beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they're growing. They've done all the things. I definitely just quoted Yoda, but it's like you want them to be able to make their own decisions, and hopefully you've taught them everything that they need to know to make good decisions. But ultimately, at this point, I have to watch and see that, and so if you've done well, or I think there's a piece of that, but then you also have the side that they're really, really wanting that autonomy, and so sometimes the autonomy isn't just simply, I get to make my own choices. It's maybe sometimes it could be rebellion. Like, I haven't been able to do this, so maybe they go overboard. Like, I've seen, it's so funny. I know that you saw this on the softball field. Correct me if I'm wrong, but oh man, it's right after the game. It's snack time. And then if my parents don't see it and other parents like, oh, just take this extra candy with you. And they're like, I know that my mom won't let me have this, so I'm going to stuff my face right here. Or, hey, do you want an extra cupcake or 2 or 3? Have as much as you want. Or they go to a birthday party and you're over there standing there talking to the parents. And it's like, here's all the cupcakes. And then it's like, you see the kids that go over there and just grab like 5 and go cram them in their mouth in the corner because they know that their parents can't see and that they can't normally have it. We have some kids that live down the street. And like Halloween, they don't necessarily celebrate Halloween, which is fine. We just do the candy and whatnot. But they're not allowed to have a lot of candy and not necessarily allowed to do all that stuff. But they will be down at our house eating our candy, like just stuffing faces. And so it's like you just have these moments where you get to see what you taught them. Do they have that? Have I deprived them so much that they feel like they need to rebel, which I think is situational with the kids too. Just in their personality. Some are like they want to follow the straight path no matter what, whether it be to please you or it's like I feel like this is right, or some kids go the other way where they rebel. We also have some other friends, and maybe you've seen this too. It's like some parents are so sheltering and can't possibly let go of their kids to where they kind of start going on their own. They get their car and then they start making poor financial choices. And then you end up paying for their car note or something like that, even though they're supposed to. And then you just keep on, you got them on the platform. You got to let them jump off at some point and fly on their own, but that they just can't.
Yep.
And then they see that they're making bad mistakes. I know that I need to just let them figure this out on their own, but they just can't possibly fathom. Then they get themselves in a bad situation. The kids do. And then the parents bail them out over and over and they're just not learning. So it's like that change has to happen for the final developmental stages for that person to figure that out, those kids to figure it out. It's necessary. Change is inevitable and it's necessary as much as we try to run away from it.
Yeah, and nobody prepares you for that. I know there's not a handbook on parenting, and certainly everybody who listens to this is entitled to do whatever they want to with their kids. I'm not saying that what I'm doing is right. Lord knows I don't even know if it's right. But I do think that it is, nobody prepared me for the fact that I would have to switch up my parenting at a certain age in order to be able to navigate this appropriately with Mila and later with Leah. It's a little bit different for the second one, but I do think a lot of it goes back to, why do we feel like change is so hard? Why is this change with Mila so hard for me? And I think a lot of it goes back to exactly what you were saying. It's the fear of the unknown. I don't know if I say to her, you can watch whatever you want. I pray that she makes the right choice. I think that I've tried to do a really good job teaching her the difference between right and wrong. I've tried to model that for her. Yeah. But really, at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know if she's going to make the right choice.
That's such a scary thought. It's like, I have no idea what that is. And ultimately, when they leave your house, it's like, I have no idea what choices they're going to make. I have no idea who they're hanging with. Like, you hear the story, your kids, they call you, they talk to you and tell you, hey, this is what we did this week and blah. But you don't ultimately know all that stuff.
No.
Just no idea.
And I think that is, whether we're talking about kids, whether we're talking about a change at work, whether we're talking about change, it doesn't matter. For me, the biggest things are the loss of control and the fear of the unknown.
How do you feel like that's changing you?
Well, I think going back to kind of what we talked about with conflict, it's like, it's inevitable. Change is just like conflict. It's inevitable. So if I spend my whole life worrying about the unknown or worrying about losing control, well, then all that's doing is that's limiting me. I mean, because I'm not taking advantage of, I'm not taking advantage, or I'm not seeking out opportunities because I'm so afraid of what I don't already know. Yeah. So I do think if you live this life so afraid of the unknown, that you really do probably limit yourself at what opportunities could come your way.
Yeah. I read a quote I can't even say his name, Heraclitus or whatever it is. He's Greek, of course. But he says very simply, everything flows. And I think what he was most famous for was there was a quote. It says, no one steps into the same river twice. So it's like you can step back you can stand in the river, get out, and stand back in it. Technically, it's the same river, but it's not.
Right.
Because it's always changing. Like the bed at the bottom is changing. Stuff comes in, it goes out, and while it looks the same, it's not. Mm-hmm. And so I think all of us feel like at some point in different varying amounts that we can fight and keep things the same. Like we still go to Chewy's on Fridays. It's always the same. But technically it's not the same place, and technically things aren't the same, even though we try to hold on to that. Some people invite change and love surprise and want to constantly change things up because it keeps them entertained. And then others, it's like, I want to hold on with a death grip and make sure that my life is predictable and nothing can change. And if it does, it turns my world upside down. Some people, it's like, I know that change is going to happen. I'm okay with it. Others, it's like, I will fight you over changing anything. And then, it's almost like it just grips them. It's like, I can't. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like there's always a balance in that. Like, should things change all the time? Well, I don't know if it should change all the time, because then you can't have any form of consistency. And then on the other end, fighting tooth and nail to make sure things don't change, like, you're not going to win that battle.
Right.
And how frozen and in indecision will you be if you recognize that I don't want it to change? So I feel like there's just like anything in life, it's always a balance of being okay with the change that does happen and recognize it's coming, but also it's okay to have the consistency of what's normal for you. But I don't think that we can change, or that we can't change the fact that things change.
Yep.
I think we have to learn how to flow with it. Like if you're going to get in that river and you're going to float down it, you can kind of control the flow. We did some tubing with me and Susie and the kids, and it was so funny. She'll probably kill me for this story, but we hop in this little river. We were up in the mountains, and I think it was our first time tubing as a family. And we're going down the river. You get in your little tube. The water's like kind of chilly, but it's hot outside, so your little buns are cold. And you're going down the deal, and I'm a little heavier than the rest of the group, so when the rocks would kind of like be a little closer to the surface of the water, my big old booty would get stuck, and I'm holding on to everybody's raft, and like I get stuck, and the kids are like, "Dad, you big butt, you need to let go of us so we can go down the river." So it's kind of funny. But there's several like areas of the river where it kind of forks off and then it rejoins. And I remember we came to one, and we see these people standing on the side. Susie's kind of around me and the kids and stuff, and the fork goes to the right or the left, but there's no signs. So like the main river goes straight, the fork goes to the right, and we kind of start getting pulled over the side, and Susie's like, "I don't think we're supposed to go that way." And I'm like, well, I would think that if you're not supposed to go that way, or you're going to like go the real wrong way, that there would be a sign, "Don't go this way" or something. And I'm like, we start drifting that way, and Susie's like, "No, like I don't want to go this way." And I'm like, I think it probably rejoins. I have no idea. I'm like, I think it'll be fine. And she's like, "No." And she's like going to stand up in the middle of the river and walk over to get back on the main. And then it's too late. Like we're at literally at the point of the fork, and like we like hit it, and then it just takes us to the right, which is the way that she didn't want to go. And she's like losing it. And the kids are oblivious, of course. They just, Charlie wants to go that way. Jack is okay going this way. We end up all going to the right. And then it rejoins later. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't flow as fast, but it's like there's cool stuff over there. But we end up rejoining the river. I'm like, see, it was fine. Lord have mercy. If it had not rejoined the river, we'd still probably be out there trying to find our way back, and I would be dead. But I think that's the stuff. It's like, I don't know if that's the right way.
Right.
It's okay if it's not, because you learned what way not to go. Mm-hmm. And I think just being okay. It's like holding a grip, but you can't hold on to it too tight. You got to be able to, And I think even her reaction is so that is such a human reaction. It's just like follow the rules.
It's like I'm unsure. Yep. There's uncertainty. So like I'm standing up in the river. I'm gonna stop. I'm not going any further. I need to stop because I'm unsure, and I need to figure out which way to go. Yep. And I think that's such a human not all humans, because obviously we know some people will be like, oh, it don't matter.
Yeah.
We just go on down whatever side. We'll figure it out.
We'll find the street. We'll walk up in the mountains. We'll find it.
Look, I would have been paddling for my life over to that other side.
You would have stood up in the river?
100%.
There's no signs.
Well, this looks like where the river's going, so we need to 100% would have been right there standing up beside Susie.
Meredith, the river went to the right, too.
No. I would have reacted exactly how she did. Like, wait, this looks like the way to go. We need to go this way. Stop. Everybody, stop. But it is, to me, that is such a it's just funny that's how when we see a choice or a change or something, we're like not quite prepared for it. It's just like, I can't go any further until I've had a chance to at least think through what the different options are here.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing you said made me think about, the balance between the structure and the stability, but also being okay because we know change is inevitable. So there's like a balance I think you have to find there. Mm-hmm. One thing that I think is important to recognize is even if you are a fly by the seat of your pants kind of person, our brains still prefer structure. They prefer familiar patterns.
Routines, yeah.
Routine. And so even if you are like an adventurous, risky type individual, I still think most people, for the most parts of their lives, prefer routine. And that sort of, not necessarily stability, but just the pattern is similar. And so I think it's also, like, I always want to give myself a hard time for not being able to be a little bit more flexible. But I do think that part of that is because my brain loves, more so than I think most people, my brain loves structure. Mm-hmm. It likes structure. It likes for there to be a sign to say, go this way, not that way, not to just leave it open for interpretation.
Yep.
So I think that if your brain is like mine and you prefer a lot of structure, I think you also have to recognize it's going to take a little bit more for you to be okay when there's less structure.
Yeah.
This is like kind of like Susie standing up in the river, but it's the girls know, which is so funny now because Milo will be like, Leah, don't even ask her that. She's going to say no. So this was actually the case just a couple of Fridays ago. Leah's like, she comes home on Friday. What? She comes home on Friday and she's like, can I go to the football game tonight with Sophia? And just the high school football game.
Yeah. Right
down the road. And I'm like, that we didn't, no. It's
pizza night.
No, on Fridays we eat pizza and we watch a movie. This is Susie standing up in the river. Yeah. It's like, no, I'm not prepared for you to do something. This is, I mean, even just saying it to you right now, it sounds ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of me didn't want her to go really because I don't know. There was probably, I just didn't want her to go. I didn't want to have to buy her the ticket, drive her to somebody else. I mean, it's just, the logistics of that. But
it's not just a football game. There's more that goes into that. Right.
But it was just, and so this has happened previously. Mila would say like, hey, so-and-so wanted to know if I could come over and do a sleepover tonight. Tonight? Like this day? No. No. We're not doing that. I mean, like, let's look at a date on the calendar. Let's get it on the calendar.
I need a plan for it. Mentally, financially, but also mentally.
Let's get a date on the calendar, and then I'm totally cool with you going on a sleepover.
Yeah.
Tonight, though, I wasn't planning on that. We weren't ready for that. So who's going to be there? Where are you going to be? I mean, I don't know these people. And so, no. And so when Leah came home and asked about the football game, Mila's like, I don't even know why you would ask her that. She's not. She'll even say to her friends now, Mila will, I know I'm not going to be able to do that tonight. My mom needs a few days notice.
She needs to mentally prepare. Yes.
Isn't that, I mean, it's like terrible, but I mean, I'm not mad about it. That she already knows, but that is, to me, that's exactly what it is I had this vision of what it was going to look like, the familiar pattern of what Fridays look like for us, pizza and movies. And when she came home and tried to upset the apple cart, I'm immediately like, no.
Be less pizza that you'd have to buy.
I know, and I could probably choose a different movie.
Yes, see, you're seeing the upside of this now.
Yeah, it's so that is to me like where I have to do some more. Now I have gotten better about if it's something, you know, like if Mila comes home and she's like, can I go down the street to so and so's house? Like I can navigate that, but it's like I have to find a balance between things going off plan and sticking to what I was prepared for.
How much do you feel like we should invite change? Like maybe this Friday you just ask the kids and say, what do y'all want to do that's different tonight? I'll do whatever you guys want.
They wouldn't even know what to do. They would not.
They would just say, Mom, I don't know.
I'm paralyzed.
We should just get pizza
I'm paralyzed with options.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. We not over here inviting change at the Cabana house.
How does Michael feel about it? Is he Mr. Changey or is he pretty consistent?
He's pretty consistent. Yeah.
Susie will tell me this, and I'm more okay with, obviously in the river. Like I'm okay going that way. So there's some things that I'm okay with on change. But I do know that, like, Susie she said this to me the other day, and I realized I do it. Like, if the kids, Dad, can we do this? And I'm like, no, we're just not doing that. And sometimes it's just because there is change, or other times it's just like, my Lord, like, I am so tired right now. I do not want to do that. Because it's always like 7 o'clock at night, Daddy, can we do this? And I'm like, I don't want to do that. The other day I came home. These past few weekends have just been insane with sports and things that need to be done. Trying to water the grass, blowing the leaves, games, like it's nonstop practice. We had 3 birthday parties last weekend.
Oh, boy.
2 games. I'm just like, I just don't want to do anything. So I came home one day, I think it was Sunday, and I just came in the door. I'm eating a burrito. I went to Chipotle. It was delicious. I'm not even done. Susie's like, can you come outside and help pull these limbs down? I'm like, I just want to finish my burrito. And then Jack comes in, Mommy needs you. And I'm like, can you just tell her I'll be done eating here in a little bit. I just need a moment. He walks out. Sure. Goes, tells Mom. She said she really needs you. I said, okay. So I walk out there. It's a single limb on this tree. She's like, can you just pull this down? And I'm like, why don't you just go get the pole saw and just cut it off? I just think you should pull it. Just pull it as hard as you can. And I'm like, dang it. And it sure as crap snapped right off. It worked fine. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back inside. I go back inside. 2 minutes later, Charlie comes in. Daddy, can you pitch with me? I want to pitch to you. And I'm like, I just want to enjoy my burrito. And I'm like, I know I need to blow the leaves. So I'm like, I immediately wanted to say no. Normally I would just be like, no, I got so much stuff to do. Can we just do it another time? Or maybe later today. Same thing like yours. Like, if we're going to do it, let's just do it later. Mm-hmm. And so then I felt guilty for saying, basically, like, I was going to say no. So I was like, okay, let me finish this.
Let me finish my burrito.
I just want to eat my little snack. So then I finished that. I go outside and I start pitching with her for about 5 minutes. Susie's still pulling the limbs out of the trees. And she tore down, like, we had a little playhouse that's been there for years that was done. So she tore that down. And then she looks at me and she's like, you do realize that, like, are you blowing the leaves today or not? Because if you don't do it today, tomorrow we're not going to have any time. And I'm just like, oh my Lord, I don't know. I guess she wanted to pitch, and so maybe we'll just do this for a little bit. And then I'm like, she's right. I need to go blow the leaves, so I go do that, and then I come back. So it's just like nonstop. So usually when those moments come up, like I have in my mind what I'm planning to do that day, and then if there's anything that diverts off that, I'm not always happy about that or want to do that. The worst one, Meredith. Susie I'll call her right now. She'll be like 100%. If she says, "What do you want for food, like dinner, or we're driving?" Usually when we're driving, "What do you want tonight? We can go to Buffalo Wild Wings." Sounds good. So we'll be driving there. We'll pull in the parking lot. She's like, "Oh, there's this really nice barbecue joint right there. Do you want to go there?" And I'm like, "No, we've decided Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't want to go there." Okay, that's fine. We're pulling in the parking lot. Ooh, there's this new place that's right there. It's they've got burgers and fries. I heard it was really, really good. We should go there. Do you want to do that? I'm like, "No, I want Buffalo Wild Wings. I done got my mind set on it." When your stomach feels a certain way, it's like, that's what I want. I don't want to divert from that. And for her, she's okay with that. Other things, she doesn't want to change. So it's kind of interesting how that stuff pops up. So I say all that to say, I like to feel like I can move and groove, but there's certain things I'm just like, I don't want to change from that.
Yeah, I wonder how much of this, as you're saying that, I wonder how much of this change piece is connected to the expectation we've set in our mind. So like, when you got home with the burrito, the expectation was that I was going to have some time to just sit and eat the burrito for a little bit. It's not like you knew you had to blow the leaves and do that kind of thing. But then it was like, then I just couldn't sit and eat my lunch. And so now it's feeling like things are like spiraling.
That spiraled out of control. Please help me pull this branch down.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe some of this piece of change of why it is difficult for us is because the expectation that we've set in our mind is now not what reality is, not what's happening. And so it feels, maybe that's one reason why change feels hard, is because it's not what we had. It's not the expectation that we had in our mind. It's not what we thought it was going to be.
Right.
And so then it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah. I feel like I'm more, I do think it's that, because I mean, even in your analogy earlier with dinner on Friday night and can I go to this football game, it's the expectation you had was that this is what we're going to do, and then that's not happening. I know some people are 100% like, yeah, you can go do that, it's fine. I envy sometimes those people of how loose it is, like, yeah, go ahead and do that, it's fine. I'm like, shoot, I'd have shut my kid down too. We're not doing that. Put it on the calendar and then we'll think about it. But I think I'm more okay with the business, like business change, more than I am, the stuff in your personal life, because that you have more control over. But like even in business, like we always talk about the inflection points. You have the start of the business, you have the rapid rise, you have maturity, and then you have where unless you you kick the business back off again, that curve comes back down to death. The business dies, and so. I think in business, we all recognize what Dewey says often is like, if you're not growing in a business, then you're dying, you're going backwards. You always have to be pushing forward. And he also says you have to be willing to change things when they're working. Now that doesn't mean like change nonstop, because then you have no consistency. Like stuff will work for years, or there's certain strategies that will work, and maybe you have to make tweaks and changes, and you have to be willing to change things when they're working. But you can't change all the time. Like you can't have a process in place for a month and you're like, nope, let's just change it. And then 2 months later, nope, let's just change it. You got to have some consistency there, unless it's just not working. But the other side of it is like, we have to be strategic with business of like, okay, we've run this campaign for a while. It's time to change. We had Bobby and Mr. Jenkins for years, and that was wildly successful. It was great. But can you imagine us still doing Bobby and Mr. Jenkins right now? We'd have to change it.
Yep.
So that's just an example. Like marketing, it works for a while, and then you got to change it up. You got to keep it interesting.
Yeah. In bringing out the best in people, I wrote this down in my notes. He talks about these myths that people have, or I guess that we just think in general. And he says, listen to this myth, that it's a myth that people resist change.
Okay.
He says, the fact is, this is Aubrey Daniels, the fact is that people don't resist change if the change provides immediate positive consequences for them. Nobody resists change when the immediate consequences favor it. So, for example, in softball, or in any kind of like sport where you coach someone to make a slight change and they see a positive outcome, they don't have a problem changing it. because they saw a positive.
I can get down with that.
They saw a positive response. So do it this way and you won't hurt your finger. Hold the light this way, you'll be able to see it better. Move your right hand this way and you'll be able to hit the golf ball straighter. If I do a little change, make a little adjustment, and then I see positive consequences from that change, I don't resist the change.
Yeah.
Keep giving me that feedback so I can keep getting better and better.
What else you got, Coach? Let's go.
Yeah. So that's kind of what he's talking about is people don't necessarily resist the change. They resist the way the change makes them feel. Because, of course, this is all about people do what they do because of the way it makes them feel, right?
Yeah.
That's human behavior. So he says new behaviors require extra effort to learn, a result in increased mistakes. I think about the transition to Service Titan. You know, I mean, when people were learning new behaviors, it requires extra effort. People make mistakes. This causes them to fall behind in other areas of their work. It creates stress because people fear they won't be able to learn or perform well under the new conditions. And so he says to make change a positive experience, we need to be less concerned with managing the change and much more attentive to managing the consequences associated with the change. So I thought that I've always thought people don't like change. People resist change. But then when he says that about like the coaching aspect of it, or even like what we do with our kids,
yep.
You know, when we give them little pieces of feedback, hey, try it this way, and they try it and it works, they don't mind changing it. Mm-hmm. It's when the change causes extra effort, more mistakes, negative consequences. People don't like feeling like they're inadequate and they can't do it. So I think that that's a really interesting point to bring up is let's work on focusing on the consequences of the change. And hopefully then people would be less resistant to the change itself.
Yeah, I do. I mean, that's a really, really good point. You talked about softball. I thought about softball again in the case that there's a player on our team and her swing, like you can pretty evidently see like her backswing as soon as it gets to the other side, she kind of has a weird swoop that she does. Instead of letting it fall on, it ends on your shoulder, she kind of likes to bring it around almost like she's going to swing again was what it looks like. So it's pretty evident. I'm like that funky swing that she has on the backside, it makes her swing upwards, which keeps the bat. It only allows the bat to be in the ball path just for a split second versus being on line with it. And so it's easy to see that. And I'm like, hey, we need to tweak some things. And so she's been with us for quite a few months now. And, in a lot of the tournaments, she didn't really hit anything. And so I could tell she was getting frustrated. So in practice, she comes up to bat, she does her little swing thing. And I'm like, come here. I'm like, come over here and you're going to chop. I want you to chop down. It's going to feel weird. I want you to swat downward towards the ball. I promise you're going to be on line a lot longer. It's going to feel odd, but we have to change things sometimes drastically in order for us to see some type of a change because it's not a little tweak you got to make. It's a big tweak. It's going to feel weird. Just trust me. So we stand over there and I'm like, just do it again. 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 And then finally she goes back up to bat. And I see her go up there and she kind of does a practice swing and she does her original swing again. And I look at her, I'm like, hey, I gave her a look. I'm in the outfield. I'm like, hey,
all that chopping.
Hey, no ma'am, do the weird one. And she does it. And I'm like, good, do it. Meredith, I'll be danged. She goes up there and smokes one right over the shortstop's head. I'm standing in like left center field and I run over. Like it got hit straight to me in the air. It was a beautiful hit. And she almost forgot to run. And I just threw my glove up and I knocked it down to give her a chance to run to first base. And she was so pumped. She went flying to first base. And I just threw my hands up like, there it was. Her mom's sitting up there in the stands. And so what do you think she said when I came over to the side? Like that inning finish, we go in. And I look at her. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. She just looks at me. She goes, you missed that ball on purpose, didn't you? She thought I was going to catch it. I said, girl, you deserve to get to first base. I was like, that was a beautiful hit. And so what's cool, to your point, is that now when she goes up there to swing, her swing has completely changed now. Like we've only practiced it really in that practice, and then she's been continued to practice on her own. So the positive change that she saw from that has influenced her to continue that change.
Yeah. I think that it is just interesting to think about that is that I think we have this misnomer that people resist change, but I think when you can show people and help people see how the change will benefit them, but also too, you know, going back to people feeling like that they're inadequate or they get stressed because they can't acclimate to the change quickly. You know, maybe it's just like from the very beginning, let's just say to people, hey, we expect you to make mistakes. That's part of learning a new process. Like, let's just alleviate some stress from people. I think that goes back to one thing I wrote down about navigating change. If you're a person who doesn't like change, or if you're just going through something that's new, one thing we've talked about quite a bit on the training. We might have mentioned it on here as well, is understanding an FFT, right? So,
what's an FFT?
For the sake of the airwaves, I'll say a freaking first time. Brene says a different word for that first F, but I'll say a freaking first time. That's an FFT. So I think going back to the Service Titan transition or any big transition, even like when talking about transitioning from raising a child to raising a teenager, talking about transitioning from being in the education world to now being in the business world. It doesn't matter what change I'm talking about. I think understanding this idea about FFT is super important, of things being the first time. And basically what she says is to just recognize, number one, that's what you're in. I'm in an FFT right now. I've never raised a teenager before. I don't know how to do this. This is the freaking first time that I have ever had to raise a teenager. And so it's okay for me to not know exactly what to do with her. And so Brene talks about when we name what we're going through, it doesn't give it power, it gives us power. When I say I've never raised a teenager before, I don't know exactly what to do, then it gives me the power to try and figure it out and not just be a bystander and let what happens happen. Then after you say, hey, this is the first time I've ever done this, the second thing you do is say, okay, so if this is the first time I've done this, it's totally normal for me to feel this way. It's normal for me to feel stressed. It's normal for me to feel outside of my comfort zone. It's normal for me to feel aggravated. It's normal for me to feel all of those things when I'm doing something for the first time. And so once you normalize those things, it causes those emotions to have less control over you, because you should be feeling that way when you're doing something for the first time.
For sure.
And then we can put it into perspective. We can say, you know what? This feeling is not permanent. I will not feel this way all the time. And I can actually see that in this situation with Mila. If I stick with that example, I can see that I'm not saying I'm doing it right all the time, but I'm getting more comfortable with navigating the teenage parenting.
Even the change becomes normal and it becomes steady. Like
yes.
It becomes the new norm, which puts you back in that comfort zone. But
right.
It just sounds like that. Sometimes it's an initial shock, or it's a slow transition, like something's coming and you're a little bit more aware of whatever change is going to be there. I think those are probably a little easier to navigate than like, oh, by the way, like you don't just get parachuted a teenager, like it happens over time.
Right. I
think the first moments of realizing like, why'd she say that to me like that? Shoot, like dang hormones, like dude, what's going on? I think those are the moments that we feel that change, but it's been changed, like the change has been happening the whole time. I think when we recognize that how important change is and how necessary it is for our change, like if we can recognize this is necessary for us to be successful, like what does us resisting it, like what possibilities are ruined because we resist it? I think that piece right there alone of recognizing, okay, I actually need to invite it more often than I think. And if I'm more resistant to it, then I'm more than likely limiting the progress and success I can have in the future. Like there's huge implications that come along with that. So challenging all of us, not just our listeners, but challenging ourselves to welcome it more often, knowing that there's great possibilities. Like how many times have you tried something new? You're like, I really don't want to try that. And then you did, and you're like, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I keep going back to food, but it's like, hey, you should try this. No, I'll be the first one if somebody offers me something like, no, I'm good. I appreciate it. Like it was actually funny on the softball team the other day. I don't really drink Sunny D. Like I just don't do it. And I actually didn't drink it, but it was like somebody was like, do you want something to drink? Here's a Sunny D. And I was like, oh no, I'm good. I appreciate it. I'll always say no. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a habit. And then they gave it to me and I'm like, all right, cool. And I just had it in my hand. And then we got to their house. This was on Halloween night. I got to their house and Jack had to go use the bathroom. So I go put it on the counter in there. And then I came back out and they're like, oh, did you drink your Sunny D? Is that it right there sitting on the counter? I'm like, it is, but no, I didn't drink it. Sorry. And then I put it in my bag. And then we went to practice like 3 days later. And then it was in my bag, still in my car. And I ended up showing up and it was still there. And I just held it up and was like, still here. It's like, I don't like to try new things that are out of my norm. I should have probably just said no, but like, I'll be the first one to say no to things. Somebody's like, hey, try this new food. I'm like, no, I don't really want to. Cause I don't want to be like, yeah, that's not good.
Right.
It's not even that the person would feel insulted that I didn't like it. It's just like, no, I don't want to try that. But the times that I have tried something, I'm like, no, I don't really want it. And I'm like, oh, that's really good. And then all of a sudden you're a raving fan. It's all you had to do is just step off the cliff a little bit.
I wrote resisting.
Yes. Yes.
One of the things I do believe is to work on, if you feel yourself resisting something so much, then like, let's figure out where is that coming from, and resist the resisting, because inevitably there's going to be some things you're going to have to change.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Like, where is it coming from? And it may be different for everybody.
Yeah.
Because I know we say, and when we do our training here, like, no is protection. Like, people will say no because, it's a wall that you can put up. Like, no, I don't want it. I'm good. I don't want to change. But that no can come from different places for different people. So we have to kind of examine ourselves of, am I saying no for protection? Is it I don't like change? Is it an emotional type of thing? I mean, I guess a lot of the decisions we make is emotional, but where does that come from for us? I am okay with some changes, some I'm not. Some of it is sure enough out of comfort. Like just this weekend, like, Daddy, will you do this? Will you do that? I'm like, I just want to eat a burrito right now. I'm tired. I don't want to do it. Other times I'm like, I don't want to take the time to do that. Others, it's like, I don't want to change what works for me right now. Sometimes I'm okay with it if I have time to plan for it. But other times it's just like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of this goes back to self-protection. I mean, I think that's a lot of the reasons why people don't like change, is because our brains are saying, alert, something new. We're not ready for this.
Say no.
Right. No. Our default answer is no.
It is no, and I will do it again. No.
Yeah, I do. I think it is. It's there has to be a balance. I feel like you have to strike that balance and find that balance between, I'm never going to be the person who is just like, woohoo, like willy-nilly in it on a Friday night. No, we watching a movie and eating
Girl,
pizza.
go to that football game. Milo, what do you want to do?
Only if we've put the football game on the calendar.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be the person who is just going to be like that. It's like we're going on a trip this weekend, going to old Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. So you better believe there's a plan for every day. I can't show up with no plan.
You can.
I could. So, I already have that planned out. That's just something I have to do for my own comfort. Like you were saying, it lessens my stress levels. Now, do I think now more than ever, could I be a little bit more flexible about when we get there? If this doesn't work out or that doesn't work out, like, I already have a plan. We gonna come in through the little things, show our passes, boop, boop, get scanned, walk in to the left. I already have a plan. And then you go that way to hit these roller coasters first because they get the longer wait times. So can I be a little bit more flexible when we go in if that's not
Go to the right.
if that's not how it works out? Yes. I'm much better about that now. But I'm still going to show up with a plan. I can be a little bit more flexible within the plan now than I ever could have been before. So I do think that's where I have to continue to find that balance. Have a plan, because a plan makes me feel better and less stressed, but also being able to kind of work within the plan, I think, is where I kind of try and strike the balance.
If we know that change leads to many of the dreams that we possibly couldn't have fathomed ahead of time, how often do we welcome the change? You could have an amazing time, more than you could possibly dream of at Dollywood, if you would just allow the change.
What if we went left and Dolly herself was to the right?
Right.
Oh my God.
Herself.
Leah would never forgive me if we missed her.
This is all your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's possible.
Hey, wouldn't you just believe that the beginning of the story with going down the river, that the path was actually to the right? Literally, it was to the right.
It's a sign.
It is a sign.
Okay, so maybe next time I'll have to report back. Right now, in my heart of hearts, I'm still feeling like we're going to go left.
I'm texting Michael. Let's just get off of this. Whatever you do, do not let her go left with this. Maybe this will be a project. Like this could be a science experiment.
Oh.
We're going to throw your plans out of the window this weekend, and then we're going to have a change part 2 debrief on how your trip went.
Oh.
We can make this a science experiment.
Yeah. I don't know about all that.
And you know what I'm going to change this weekend? I'm not going to go to any of the softball games, and I'm just going to sit at the house. I'll tell you how that goes. I'll tell you how that goes.
Yeah. I don't know if you'll be here to give a report back on that. I thought you were going to say, I am not going to expect to eat my burrito at home. Just going to stay right there at Chipotle. And
best believe
it
took me 45 minutes to eat that burrito with the bushes and trees and ball throwing that happened in between.
Oh, boy.
Lord have mercy. And then the kids ate my chips. I get so mad, Meredith, when the kids come eat my chips. I'll have chips and salsa, fries. I think we talked about the fries on this before when they came in to eat my fries. It drives me crazy because that's all I got. Mm-hmm. They came in there and eat my food. They already ate.
Yep.
But
I mean, but who can blame them? Because the chips from Chipotle are fire.
Well, Charlie didn't say that verbatim, but she did say the chips were good. Yeah. And then I ate some of them. I'm like, you can have the rest.
Yeah.
And then Jack wanted some.
Don't worry. Her teenage lingo's coming sooner rather than later. Fire.
The more that she hangs out with the girls on the softball team, the more odd words. One girl, I don't know what this means, and hopefully this isn't a bad word, but what in the world does skibbity mean? Do you know what that means?
I don't really understand that either.
Mark has said that, something about a toilet, skibbity toilet. Mm-hmm. I sound like a
listeners
old man talking about this right now.
Listeners, chime in. What is skibbity? Leah's is sigma.
I've heard that too.
What's a sigma?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it's good.
Yeah.
Like an alpha, I would think would be good.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
too much. Change. Listen to us. We can't even get
I'm not keeping up with these changes. Well, so with the lingo thing, the very first time that I recognized I was out of the loop was many a year ago at Christmas with my little cousins. And I wasn't that old. Like I was maybe in my late 20s. And we were at Christmas, and I remember like it was yesterday. My one cousin, she says, yeah, that kid in school, he's just so emo. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I was like, was he emotional? Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, no, Rob, he's emo. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And she's like, you know, the kids that have like the sometimes they got the makeup and then they got the dark hair that kind of covers their eyes. And I was like, oh, you mean goth? And she's like, no, it's completely different. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, you have to educate me on this. And so I found out that it's not emotional and it's something else. But all the other words that are happening right now, I'm like, I have no idea. All I know is this one girl on my team, the amount of times she says skibbity out on the field is insane. Like, I can't keep up with it, and I don't know what it means.
Yeah, and be like, don't say it again.
I'm sick of hearing it. Like, that's all I hear out on the field. And there's many other words that I'm like, I don't even know what that means. She could be cussing at me right now for all I know. And I'm completely oblivious. Well, when they say it and everybody laughs, then you know there's a problem. It's like, hey, I don't know what you just said, but you see that pole over there on that other field? Go touch it and come back. Don't be last.
I love how you just said, yeah, I'm not keeping up with these changes.
I literally don't care about those changes. Other changes, maybe I will, but others.
This ain't it.
No. Heck no. Keeping up with society, I can't do it. Change is happening too fast.
It's too much.
Heck no. But I think walking away with today, like in the personal life piece, I think we all have to recognize that, change, there's a lot of change that is good. Now, I think the caveat that we really hadn't talked about is we've talked about the change that has been good for us, but some change doesn't turn out great. And I think when we see those changes that don't turn out great, I think it solidifies our need to stay the same. One piece that I've found that has been helpful for me is even if things don't turn out well, the reflection piece that comes in, we've talked about reflection 5,000 times, but the reflection piece of like, hey, this didn't turn out great. What do I need to learn from, my mistakes or the situation that maybe I can correct in the future? But I think the piece that we have to recognize is if it didn't turn out well, not to let it make us go overboard on like, I'm never doing that again.
Right.
I don't want to change. It further solidify our need to not change. I think we have to have the courage to recognize that we don't need to yank our hand back or our knee back, have that knee jerk reaction, because it can ruin future success for us. So I think we have to recognize that sometimes it goes good, sometimes it doesn't go good, and that we don't want it to pull us back from that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think kind of what I take from what you just said and what I take from what we've talked about a lot here is balance. I keep coming back to that word. Maybe that's another podcast episode. I don't know exactly what we would talk about, but like in that situation, it's like recognizing, yeah, this wasn't great. What went well, what didn't, and it's finding the balance between putting yourself out there and keeping within your circle of control, or that routine, that pattern that you're used to. I think what I'm taking away from our conversation today is finding that balance, recognizing if you do really fear change or you don't like change, why is that? Like for me, I boiled it down to it's the fear of the unknown and it's the loss of control. And so I think anytime, like Brene says, when we can name things like that, it gives us power. It doesn't give them power. When I know what it is that's keeping me from changing, then I can do something about it. Until I name it, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing too, is just, while you're working on this balance between accepting change and resisting change, is just to think about what in and of itself is holding you back from that change. So I think the balance piece is big. I think understanding why change is hard for you is big. I think recognizing when you're in a freaking first time is helpful. What is it? Recognizing you're in a first time. Name the emotions that you're feeling and recognize they're okay. And then saying to yourself, this won't last forever, because it won't. If you think back to all the big changes that have happened in your life, that they're done. They're over with.
Nothing has lasted forever.
I'm still standing, know, so I think you have to kind of know it's not permanent. And I find some way to bring this back up in every single episode, it seems. If you don't like to fail and you're a little bit of a perfectionist, you also have to recognize during an FFT, you're not going to be great at it at first. I'm going to suck at this for a minute, and then I'm going to get better. I'm going to find my footing and I'm going to get better. It might be hard for a little bit before it gets better. And so I'm not going to crush it right away. And I need to give myself grace for that when it's something that I'm doing for the very first time.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's the balance. It's recognizing FFTs. It's resisting, and it's really breaking it down to why is change hard for you, so that you can name those things and then kind of take back the power from those things that you're having a hard time navigating.
Yeah. I think the last thought I had, something you said in that sparked this thought, like not a single thing in this life isn't changing. Even the seasons, like Jim Rohn, he talks about the seasons of life and all that stuff. But even the seasons, they don't last. Like there's the 4 seasons, but literally it's changing every single day at every single moment. The leaves are falling off my tree at every single moment. And then guess what? When they bud in the springtime, they're budding, they're growing. They fully emerge. They're there for a while. They're constantly changing, and so are we. Second by second, we're changing. And so even if we think we have some semblance of control of like every day I eat the same thing, every day is going to be the same, it's actually not at all. So I think when we can slow down and recognize our interactions, how we see the world, our vantage points, like you can be so set on a mindset of thinking or an opinion that you have on something, and you can have one person say the right thing at the right time to completely shift your perspective. All it takes is one thing to change for you, for everything to change. So I think if we can recognize and actually appreciate the fact that things are changing constantly, and just look around us and see that the people around us are changing. We're getting older every single day. You can look at it in that way, or you can say I'm getting wiser every single day. But I think if we see that everything's in a constant state of change, then we recognize that nothing's consistent at all. So when we move forward every single day with every single piece, it's recognizing that we need to embrace change and recognize that it's actually making us better if we allow it to. I think we can find ourselves going backwards if we try to hold on to things too much, because literally those things you're holding on to no longer exist anymore. They're in the past. We got to be able to look towards the future.
All right. For all you S's out there, because I know there's a lot of you, listen to this episode and then listen to it again. So you got some tools and some strategies for when that change gets hard.
Put the burrito down.
Say yes to the football game. These are the lessons you should be taking away.
Hey, put the burrito down and go right. We're going to check in. Dang it, I'm making a note. We're going to check in and see if you go right.
All right. I'll report back.
Science experiment.
All right. Well, we hope you guys have taken away a few things from this episode, hoping that you can recognize that change is going to be happening. So it's all about how we respond to it. Please do not forget to follow us on Spotify or Apple so you never miss an episode. We got a little cray-cray right here. There was some weeks between, and I was sick, and it was a lot. We back. So this episode will air when it was supposed to, and then we will be back on track every 2 weeks. Thank you guys so much for listening. Can't wait till we are together again. Until then, peace, love, and easy does it.
Appreciate y'all.